Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship. I'm Reverend Paul Beckel. Thank you for coming together today. New visitors and old. New visitors who are old. And the young at heart of every age, womb to tomb. We make room in our hearts here for you and those on Zoom, or feeling a looming sense of doom, or beginning to fume, I assume, at this frivolity. So let's get down to some more serious introduction of today's theme of transformation, as testified by James Broughton. Hearken, fresh saplings on Easter morn, to ensure your perennial resurrection. Affirm your faith in the miracle of green by repeating yearly this credo of renewal. I believe unconditionally in the one impossible truth, the two doors of perspicacity, the three windows of the unthinkable, the four corners of the boundless, the five pillars of insecurity, the six towers of pointlessness, the seven roads to the vanishing point, the eight capitals of bewilderment, the nine arenas intrepidity, and the 10 palaces of impossible wisdom, wherein are kept the original designs for the world's trees, the original scores for all birdsong, and the master blueprint for the first explosion of springtime. Be true to this faith all your budding days, and ye shall branch, blossom, and be leafy to the joy of all, as many times as there are Easters.
At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Those words were written by Albert Schweitzer. Please join me in reading our covenant. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life. Celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant.
Please turn to number 38 in the gray hymnal to sing Morning Has Broken. Make it fast.
If there are any littles, please come on down for a story. Introduce yourself. Okay. You're going to hold that. I'm going to hold this.
So I'm Jane Kuhlman, and I'm reading a story about friends. I bet you have friends. So here's the story about friends. The rain fell all morning, and it splattered on the pond and splashed on Farfalina's head. And she found a dry spot on the leaf, and she ate it. "Hey," said a little voice, "you're eating my umbrella." And Farfalina peered over the edge. A small gray bird was huddled underneath. Farfalina liked his soft feathers and his gentle eyes. "I'm Farfalina," she said, and she slid down to the ground. "My name is Marcel," said the bird. He liked Farfalina's smile and her pretty colors. The rain turned to drizzle, and Farfalina wanted to play. "I'll hide, and you find me," she said. Marcel agreed. Farfalina hid under a fern close to the ground because she knew Marcel couldn't climb. "Now I'll hide," said Marcel when he found her. And he hid right behind the tree because he knew that Farfalina moved slowly. "I can take you for a ride on the pond," said Marcel. And Farfalina inched her way up to Marcel's back. "Ooh, you tickle," said Marcel, and he slipped into the water. Farfalina giggled. "There's so much to see," she said. Farfalina and Marcel played together every day. They liked the same games and they liked each other. But one day, Farfalina was not herself. "I'm not sick," she told Marcel, "just a little uncomfortable. I need to climb up onto a branch and rest for a while." "I'll wait for you," Marcel called as Farfalina made her way up the tree. Marcel watched until Farfalina was completely out of sight. Then he settled himself in the grass and waited. Night came and then morning, but Farfalina didn't come down. Marcel called to her, but she didn't answer. He was very worried and terribly lonely. Weeks went by, and the afternoons grew longer and warmer, and Marcel went to the pond. He was growing, and when he looked at his reflection in the water, he hardly recognized himself. He went back to the tree every day to look for Farfalina, but she was never there, and after a while, he gave up. At the top of the tree, Farfalina was snuggled in a blanket of glossy silk. She was growing too. Can you see her?
Where is she?
She's up in the...
Go back. Like, was she on the previous picture?
Yeah, she was in the previous picture.
Can you go back, Jen?
She's hidden way up. She's hidden.
Okay.
The sky was blue and clear the morning she was ready to come out and open her beautiful new wings. She had no idea how long she had been up in the tree, and she floated down to find Marcel. "I'll just wait," said Farfalina when she didn't see him, and she sat on a flower. Night came and then morning, but Marcel wasn't there. Farfalina was tired and confused. She fluttered around a bit and went to the pond. The pond was glassy smooth except for the ripples made by a large, handsome goose who was swimming in solitary circles. Farfalina shivered with disappointment. She went to the pond every day to look for the small gray bird named Marcel, but he never came. One morning, the goose stopped his silent rounds and spoke to her. "You must like it here," he said, and Farfalina fluttered a bit. "Oh, I've been waiting for a friend," she said sadly, "but I don't think he'll come." Marcel liked her smile and her brilliant colors. "I know how you feel," he said. "I lost a friend too. She just vanished into thin air." Farfalina liked his sleek feathers and his gentle eyes. "A ride around the pond might cheer you up," Marcel said. And Farfalina thought it would, and she settled herself on Marcel's back. "It's funny," Marcel said, "but I feel as though I've known you a long time." "Well, I was just thinking the same thing," said Farfalina. "My name is Farfalina. What's yours?" Marcel stopped suddenly. He beat the water with his strong wings. Then he swam around and around and around. "It's me, Farfalina," he shouted. "It's me, Marcel. Is that really you?" "It is," Farfalina shouted back. They looked at each other and laughed. By evening, they had explained everything and they fell asleep, smiling at the stars. Farfalina and Marcel spent the rest of the summer playing just as they had before. Marcel was careful not to fly too fast because he knew that Farfalina couldn't keep up. Farfalina didn't hide in the flowers because she knew that Marcel would never find her. And when the leaves on the trees around the pond turned red and gold, they decided to go south. Together.
And now as you go off to your classrooms, we're going to sing you a song. story of Jesus' transformation and the countless parallel myths, ancient and modern. The power in each of these stories is that they contain an invitation to us to open our eyes to the transformations all around us and within us, triumphant and terminated, aspirational and deferred. The natural cycle of exile, initiation, and return. These are things we've all experienced, that pattern, in person, in large ways and small. Our circumstances change. We wait for things to go back to the way they were, or for our expectations to be realized, until we realize that transformation comes to the willing. Change comes to us all the time, but transformation comes to the willing. 20th century American poet James Broughton was an exemplar of fully expressing his joys and dismays, experiencing the rejection of society as a brash bisexual poet and filmmaker, and the synergy of playful gallantry of his intentional communities, the Radical Fairies and the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. He served that congregation of sorts as Sister Sermonetta. Before he was 3, Broughton experienced a transformational visit from his muse, Hermie, which he described in his autobiography, Coming Unbuttoned. He says, "I remember waking in the dark and hearing my parents arguing in the next room, but a more persistent sound, a kind of whirring whistle, spun a light across the ceiling. I stood up in my crib and looked into the backyard. Over a neighbor's palm tree, a pulsing headlamp came whistling, right up to my window. Out of its radiance stepped a boy, maybe 3 years older than I, but he looked all ages at once. He had no wings, but I knew he was angel sent. His laughing beauty illuminated the night, and his melodious voice enraptured my ears." This Hermie insisted that I would always be a poet, even if I tried not to be. And despite what I might hear to the contrary, the world was not a miserable prison. It was a playground for nonstop tournament between stupidity and imagination. If I followed the game sharply enough, I could be a useful spokesman for big joy. Throughout his career, Broughton referred to big joy as a divine assurance, a transcendent apprehension of liberation, a bewilderment, and perennial resurrection. When he died in Port Townsend in 1999, Broughton's last words were, "My creeping decrepitude has crept me all the way to the crypt." His gravestone reads, "Adventure, not predicament. Adventure, not predicament."
Please join me in reading these words by Jackson Browne, which we will do in call and response style. The words to the song really resonate with what Paul was just saying about James Broughton, I think. I want to live in the world, not inside my head. I want to live in the world. I want to stand and be counted. With the hopeful and the willing, with the open and the strong, with the voices in the darkness fashioning daylight out of song, and the millions of lovers alive in the world. I want to live in the world, not behind some wall. I want to live in the world where I will hear if another voice should call. To the prisoner inside me, to the captive of my doubt, who among his fantasies harbors the dream of breaking out and taking his chances alive in the world. To open my eyes and wake up alive in the world. To open my eyes and fully arrive in the world. With its beauty and its cruelty, with its heartbreak and its joy, with it constantly giving birth to life and to forces that destroy, and the infinite power of change alive in the world. To open my eyes and wake up alive in the world. To open my eyes and fully arrive in the world.
To open my eyes and wake up alive in the world. To open my eyes and fully arrive in the world.
Hello, everybody. My name is Talia. My pronouns are she, her. And I'm here today because some of you might know it's Transgender Day of Visibility, and I'm here to be visible. Well, yeah. Thank you. A lot of times we use the TDOV, Transgender Day of Visibility, to talk about all the amazing trans people in the world, but you can Google them. They gave to everything, including synthesized music. There's politicians, there's actors, there's actresses. They're everywhere. They're your we're your neighbors, your community, your friends, maybe your family, maybe more. But the real point of today is just to be seen, to help kind of remove the mystery, to reduce the fear. And there's a lot of fear out there. Political fear, fear of actual violence, fear of being who you really are. So here's the hard part for me, a little bit of story of me. When I was little, kind of defines a lot of this. I had great parents, probably the best anyone could ask for, and they let me choose and play what I wanted to play with, and they never got mad. The thing is when I chose that doll, nobody played with me. And that was fear of isolation. So I continued to pretend to be who I wasn't. I wasn't very good at it. Not at all. Even tried to join the Navy, so thought the military could make a man out of me. Oh, that didn't go so well either, but that's okay. I continued on until I faced a choice. I saw one door leading to a very short road that probably ended in darkness, and the other with a lot of fear, a lot of hope, a lot of fear, possibly hope, possibly happiness. And there is a lot more to that story, but I don't think it's going to happen today. As a friend once told me on that journey, making that choice, it's not that it makes life easier. In fact, it makes life a whole lot harder, but it makes life worth fighting for. And it's kind of funny today that Transgender Day of Visibility lands on Easter, because I go through the world, I talk to people and meet people. I meet so many people who are just like me. I can see it. My friends can see it. They haven't seen it in themselves. And it's funny because we affectionately call them eggs, as they have not metaphorically come out of their shell. And just like the birds, we can't help them. They need the struggle so they have the strength to fight for what comes next. And that's why I'm here, to maybe give a little hope, a little option, reason to come out of the shell. And I'm glad to be here, and I will be downstairs later, happy to answer any of your questions. In fact, I'd rather you ask me, and I can tell you you've stepped across the line, than ask some of my people who might not be so bold. And the one other thing I ask is if you want to reach out and help more, PFLAG Whatcom has so much more information for you, and they could really use your support in both the Transition Assistance Fund and currently trying to help a trans woman get dental surgery. Thank you very much.
Dreamed of heaven and the earth sang.
Singing that song always gets to me. I want to live in the world, Jackson Browne says, not behind some wall. I want to live in the world where I will hear if another voice should call. To open my eyes and wake up alive in the world. To open my eyes and fully arrive in the world. His words resonate with me because they express my own sense of how I want to live. When I was 10 years old, we moved to a house that was on a hill and had a wonderful view of the east side of Lake Washington, the lake itself, Seattle, and in the distance, the Olympic Mountains. I remember getting up one morning, shortly after we had moved there, and seeing that whole landscape covered in fog that ended at the bottom of the hill that I stood on. It all stretched out there, away from me, something to look at, but not be a part of. I'm reminded of that passage in Alice in Wonderland where she's in a dark hallway and finds a doorway much too small to pass through. She gets down on her knees and looks through it into the loveliest garden you ever saw. But there was no way for her to get into that garden. She could only look into it from outside. Maybe you felt like that too at times. Trula my spouse of 40 years, died suddenly and unexpectedly in November 2020. Our daughter was approaching middle age, fully launched and on her own, and I had recently retired. So I really was in the position of deciding how I wanted to shape my life and how I wanted to spend my days. I realized right away that it was important to go back through my life with Trula and take a close look at what it had actually been like. The main feeling I was left with after doing that is that I could have been a fuller partner to her. Of course, any relationship is a two-way street, and one person can't be held totally responsible for the dynamics that get established. But what I saw, and what I am trying to learn from, is that there was a certain passivity in my approach to life. I could have noticed more, paid more attention, been more alert to what Trula was experiencing. I could have been more present. The word that came to me was agency. I held that word in my hands, as it were, and tried to understand what it refers to. And to me, it has come to mean being the source of my own thoughts, feelings, and actions. It means paying attention and then responding to what I notice. Deciding now by what happens now, as William Stafford once wrote. And it sounds a little bit like Jackson Browne, too, doesn't it? I want to live in the world where I will hear if another voice should call. I realized that human connection was the single most important thing in the world to me. That's what being alive in the world really means. Having the ability to connect with others in a genuine and meaningful way. But what I came to see is that it's agency that makes connection possible. To connect isn't just to reach out to another person, it's to reach out from yourself. And reaching out from yourself to another person involves opening yourself to that person. And right there, you're making yourself vulnerable. You're taking a risk. You don't know how the other person is going to respond or how you are going to respond to what you receive from the other person. But I can't help feeling that it's right in that spot of uncertainty that life happens. This brings up, for me, the concept of faith. I think it's possible to use faith as a kind of shield. As you move through life, you hold faith up in front of you, and life falls away to either side as you plow your way ahead. Life never touches you because you have already decided what life means. I'm not saying that all religious believers use faith in this way. I'm just saying that it seems possible to use faith like that. And I don't want to have that kind of faith. I want to have faith in life. I want to have faith in that moment of uncertainty that comes with opening myself to the moment that I'm in. Just paying attention to what happens. Just letting that moment register on me. Putting my shield down and deciding now by what happens now. After Trula died, I started practicing yoga again. Yoga was important to Trula, and so establishing a yoga practice felt like a way of honoring her memory and at the same time doing something positive for myself. In my yoga classes, I'm encouraged to pay attention to how my body feels now. Maybe I'm in downward dog facing pose. How tight do my hamstrings feel today? How close to the floor am I able to get my heels? Not judging, just noticing. Or maybe I'm in warrior two pose. Am I able to press down both feet into the floor to help create stability? How does my chest feel as I stand with both arms stretched out to the side? Am I getting that feeling of opening that I like so much? Or maybe I'm just lying on the floor in corpse pose. To what extent can I let all sense of effort go? What does that feel like in my body? Paying attention to my body in this way helps me realize that I am a part of life now, as it is happening around me. Life isn't just something out there on the other side of a picture window. It is out there, but it's here too, inside of me, right now. Think of it. You, I, we are alive. What a thing. But don't think of it too much. Just get your blanket lined up evenly. Just keep your tongue loosened while you do your sit-ups. Just keep breathing. And if your mind wanders away, as yoga teachers are so fond of saying, bring it back to where your body is now. So here I am now with you in this moment. I come to this moment with a life full of experiences, including, of course, all of those shared years with Trula. All of those experiences are going to help shape the path I take into the future. So there will be an element of continuity and stability, but there is also going to be an element of uncertainty. I don't know what is going to happen. Trula died. Maybe I will be diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, or the sun might come out while it's still raining, and a double rainbow will arch across the dark sky, as it did one evening last spring when I was walking out of yoga class. Right now, I don't know. That element of uncertainty is just there and is always going to be there. And the role of spirituality, for me, is not to shut the door on that element, but to help us open it and keep it open. because it's the presence of uncertainty that makes it possible for us to grow. I want to close with a poem that I wrote several years ago, and I'd like to dedicate it to you, sitting here in this room now, listening to me speak. Is there a door before me I am unable to see? A possibility I have neglected to imagine? Stranger or friend, open your hand. Lend your learning to mine. Show me a sign. Give me a clue. A passing word or look, unavailable in any book, will do. Help me see. Help me learn how to be something more. Imagine a key. Identify a door.
In the beginning, there was uncertainty. What just happened? What will happen next? How long will it take? Will I be the same person if I make it to the other side? Take this cup away from me, Jesus prayed. I don't want to taste its poison. Then an angel from heaven appeared and strengthened him. And he prayed more earnestly, I'm not sure. And his sweat became like great drops of blood falling to the ground. And then a friend appeared, Judas, with elders from the temple, that sanctuary, that refuge, with a couple of soldiers and a kiss. Thy will be done. He yielded. And not 24 hours later, he cried, my God, why have you forsaken me? His last words. And at that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn from top to bottom. The earth shook. And in the darkness, the rains came. The pains forgotten, and the earth sang. Transformation is rarely so instantaneous as the breaking of a new day. More often, it happens so slowly through long sequences of going and returning and going and returning so as to be invisible to ourselves and certainly to others. Even when we do recognize a change within ourselves, it's best not to hold our breath waiting for someone else to notice. Even when it's dramatic, even when we do have companions along the way, even when there are seemingly obvious external changes happening at the same time, though the visible changes may have nothing to do with the real transformation taking place within. A trivial example, perhaps. About 20 years ago, I had luscious blonde hair. Over the course of just a couple of weeks, and without any accompanying illness, Bare patches began appearing at random and growing in haphazard holes. I acquiesced one morning and shaved it all off. Later that day, at the public library, I saw a member of the congregation lost in thought in the new books section. Not just any congregant, mind you, but someone who came to lunch with Paul almost every Tuesday at noon. I sidled up right next to him and perused the stacks. As I inched closer, uncomfortably closer, and when it felt like more than enough time had passed, still cocking my head, looking at the book spines, I said, "Good to see you too, Greg." I might not have gotten out of there alive, but fortunately he recognized my voice. 6 months later, people were still looking at me and saying, "You look different somehow." A not unremarkable external change, accompanied by, I hope, a little gain in humility, in knowing that despite being front and center so often, I wasn't and didn't need to be the center of everyone's attention. Transformations, inconsequential or cataclysmic, fast or slow, are our own to sort through. Even when those around us are empathetic and impacted perhaps by the same changing circumstances, our transformations are our own. So often kindled by others' kindness and deliberate or random acts of kindness, and nurtured by senseless beauty of wind, water, and soil, and tenderness, they're still our own. I believe in agency, in free will, and in the capacity for humans to choose how to be in the world, to decide when to risk and when to retreat. And yet there are immovable obstacles, circumstances that do not and will not change, cycles of inevitability through which we do pass but may not truly notice. So often through my winters of discontent, I am reminded of my ideals through music, books, aging, and the wisdom I gain from you within our conversations. I am even reminded of my ideals by what I abhor: bigotry, fascism, willful ignorance, which also remind me of the great willpower it takes to resist and confront and keep going. And yet, all of these reminders and the ideals still remain in my head. Even when they do penetrate my heart, the stone remains, and the longing hurts even more deeply. But then, no. Maybe, no. But then, maybe an awakening, a spring of some sort. Today, some, but not all of us, are experiencing some sort of spring. Becoming aware of a friendship that's been there all along, or discovering that we actually enjoy hard-boiled eggs, or suddenly noticing the consequences of riding on a living earth spinning through space. I believe in agency, that the experience of transformation depends on a willingness to receive some kind of lesson, some kind of healing, some kind of unbidden gift. And yet at the same time, it's never entirely of my own doing, not something for which I can take credit. When transformation is real, we don't feel the need to take credit. But wordlessly, in solitude, we understand that it is through the grace of time, photosynthesis, and calamitous love that we are able to repeat this credo of renewal. Here I am, willing again. I want to be part of the new day, not behind some wall, but out where I might hear when the voices of the hopeful and the willing call me to new purpose, to witness great heartbreak, and to dwell in big joy. As I invite the ushers forward to receive your generosity today, know that you are loved, know that you are accepted regardless of what you have to share today, be it same as what it was tomorrow, be it different than what it might be yesterday. Bring what you have and know that it is love. Thank you so much for your generosity. financial and interpersonal, within and beyond these walls. Generosity is no accident. It's not passive, handing over the leftovers. Generosity arises from agency, and agency is essential to any voluntary association or beloved community. We are not coerced to be here, threatened, lured, or passively resigned. Rather, we choose to notice and to engage with the ongoing transformation, which is Buff. And as we go through a transformation right now of becoming less dependent on Buff staff and more interdependent as members and friends of the congregation and mutual stewards of our resources, I'm going to be inviting you more and more to take it upon yourselves to see and to notice and to take care of the large and small things that create here a sense of welcome, a sense of home. Entropy happens. It's nobody's fault. I'm inviting you to notice. And if you see something you can do, gather a cadre of assistants. Let Michelle in the office know you're going to do it, so that you don't climb the 6 towers of pointlessness. Take agency for coffee hour, both by bringing snacks, healthy snacks, when you can, but being hospitable, noticing who's around, who's not around that you might wish to contact, who's alone. And please accept hospitality. If you're new, learn more about us. We'd like to help you learn more about us if you'd fill out a visitor card that's in the pew racks in front of you. Or go to buff.org and sign up for our midweek update. There's also now a bulletin board out just outside those doors. There is an announcement there of our mental health de-escalation training, which is going to take place next Sunday after the service from 1 to 3. We really hope that you can come. I'm not going to give you all the details, but you can take a photo of that announcement out on the bulletin board, and then you'll know. And try different things. Tomorrow night is Taizé, our once-a-month, 7 o'clock candlelight, meditative, contemplative service. And let's see, I guess that's it. For now, make it happen. The choir's going to sing with us, or some group of them.
We are doing Jazz Alleluia, which is hymn 1050 in the Teal hymn book. And if you want to see the notes, because it's kind of fun, you can grab the hymn book. The words will probably be up here, but it's a 3-part round. We're going to use this side of the congregation. We're going to practice part 1. The middle, we're going to practice part 2. And this left side, we're going to practice part 3. And once we've learned those 3 parts separately, we'll put them on all together, and you can sing whatever you like. Part 2, in the middle.
by our children's artist and illustrator and author, Holly Keller. The rain fell all morning. You tickle, said Marcel. I'll wait for you. He hardly recognized himself. She was growing too. Solitary circles. They looked at each other and laughed. She giggled. There's so much to see. Let's join hands in concentric circles and sing for freedom.
Stop singing for a moment.
Oh, yes, thank you very much.